Hello and welcome to Irish Science Fiction. My name is Brian Sexton and this is going to be chapter 46 of the 56 chapters of Nancy Graham, the Space Ranger. So, a hen, it's a daw, it's a tree, and away we go. If you have never travelled through the damp, mouldy, festering former access routes that wind their way from the side entrance of the Omperdon chamber, below the Jupitarian city of Hobblegranacher, to the third comulsified layer of the city and along the interior Folligang, then you haven't missed much. In case you were wondering, the not much that you missed includes badly maintained and cracked paving, damp musty smells, poor lighting, mouldy crumbling walls, a large arched brown and black brick ceiling, and a general air of decay. It was mid-morning on the 9th day of the first human crewed mission to another planet when both European Space Agency Mission Specialist Bart McMorrow and European Space Agency Mission Specialist Nancy Graham McGinley noticed the badly maintained cracked paving, damp musty smells, poor lighting, mouldy crumbling walls, large arched brown and black brick ceiling, and general air of decay. Their noticing of these things had been preceded by a wizard known as Bork Zungemeyer handing Nancy a brown cloth bag of halubalberries and motioning for herself and European Space Agency Mission Specialist Bart McMorrow to follow him through a small, inconspicuous, narrow door on one side of the spectacularly ornate Omperdon chamber. They left behind their two elderly Jupitarian travelling companions, Habon and Shinobel Unterwackle, who were both tucking into second helpings of stew in the middle of the chamber. The far side of the inconspicuous door was a world away from the colour of the chamber. It was dark, grey, quiet and smelly. The wizard known as Borg led them at pace through the must, until they arrived at a small group of entrances and doorways along a particularly mouldy and decrepit underground street. "The interior Folligang," announced Bork. "Tandulia Montgolfier lives in the pale green door over there. I'm just going to go over here and wait till ye go in. His wife is sound, but she's eyes like a hawk. Seemingly Tandulian is a bit of a rogue. I'm not sure how that works as he's ugly as sin and smells of putrefied gontrel slime, but it takes all sorts. I suppose he does talk to the gut. Anyway, good luck." The pale green mouldy door Bart and Nancy found themselves standing outside was shut. "Give it a knock there, Nancy, would you?" asked Bart. Nancy's knock on the door resulted in a large, grey, boiler-suited, elderly female Jupitarian opening it, stepping out, eyeing Nancy and Bart, looking beyond them both ways along the dark street and shouting, "I know you're there, witch of Mullinavore! Come out from where you're hiding! Don't think I can't see you because I can! Come out, you slut!" Nancy cleared her throat and said, She was cut short by Bart. "I don't think that one is talking to you." The woman ignored both Bart and Nancy and roared, "Maybe you didn't hear me! I said come out, witch of Mullinavore, you slut!" She got no response. "I'm pregnant!" she yelled. "That's a lie," coughed Bart. "How is that possible? You're about 800 years old. Shut up, you!" Bart ignored the woman's demand and said, "Nancy, do you hear this one? She thinks she's pregnant. Tell her she's being daft." "I'm not the witch of Mullinavore," came Bork's voice from somewhere in the nearby darkness. "Then why are you snaking away in the shadows over there? Are you casing the place? Because there's nothing worth robbing in here. Tandulian always says, never have anything worth robbing, and nobody will rob it from you." "Nobody will rob what?" asked Bart. "Was I talking to you?" asked the old woman. "I don't know, you're screeching so loud everyone can hear." "Nobody will rob what?" asked Bart. "Nobody will rob nothing." "Why would nobody rob nothing?" "They wouldn't. That's the point," snapped the old woman. She then turned to Nancy and hissed impatiently, "Will you explain it to him? I'm busy." Said Nancy. "I think the lady means not having valuable things would discourage theft." "What the hell has that got to do with the Book of Bongerlon?" asked Bart. "The Book of Bongerlon, eh?" asked the woman. The mention of it caused her to take a step backwards and eye Bart and Nancy carefully. "Is that why ye came here with that slut of a witch of Mullinavore?" "She's not a slut," shouted Bork. "She's a very decent witch. And anyway, I'm not her." "According to you," snapped the woman. "Why should I believe someone hiding in the shadows?" "That's not the witch of Mullinavore," said Nancy. "I met the witch of Mullinavore. It was at the Abbadine Monastery. She's probably still there." "Right," said the woman. "Well then, if you see her again, the witch of Mullinavore, tell her I said she's a slut, and she better stay away from Tandulian. You got that?" "I will," said Nancy, "if I see her. Can we see Tandulian?" "You can," said the old woman. "You seem nice. Not like most of the callers we get. What do you want with the Book of Bongerlon, anyway?" "It's a long story," said Nancy. "Ah, fair enough. Forget it so. Who's the one hiding in the shadows over there?" Nancy got as far as the "it's" part of the reply when the old woman shouted, "Hey you! Who are you if you're not the witch of Mullinavore?" "I'm Bork Zungemeyer." "Okay," shouted the old woman. "That witch is a slut, you know," she added to nobody in particular. The woman then stepped back onto the stone floor inside the door. "Is Tandolian in?" asked Nancy. "Yes," replied the woman. "Who wants to know?" Nancy McGinley and Bart McMurrow from the European Space Agency on planet Earth," replied Nancy. "Oh, and Bork. He's hiding in the shadows because he wanted 2 non-terrestrials to speak with Tandolian and ask him about the Book of Bongerlan." "Ah, I see. Well, in that case, you better come along in. Bork can stay outside and carry on doing whatever he's doing there in the shadows," said the old woman. She then turned to face the darkness along the narrow underground street and yelled, "Did you hear that, wizard? These 2 extraterrestrials are coming in to see Tandolian. You wait there. And while you're waiting, remind yourself to tell the witch in Mullinavore that I said she's a slut and to stay away from Tandolian." "Tandolian," she said, "there's a pair of extraterrestrials here to see you." The woman then swung the pale green door inwards until it was fully open and motioned for Bart and Nancy to enter. The inside of the dwelling was grim. A single flickering light revealed a mess of mouldy-looking books almost completely covering the stone floor, and surrounding 2 worn armchairs and a low table containing buckets of half-eaten food in varying states of decay. One of the chairs had an elderly small thin male humanoid with a pale blank toothless grin partly hidden under a dark hooded top. "A pair of extraterrestrials! What did ye bring me?" hissed the old man. "Hello, berries," said Nancy. "From your planet?" "No, from Jupiter." "Lovely. They're the best kind." The hooded, pasty-faced stranger leaned forwards. "So, tell me what brings you 2 here. It's not every extraterrestrial that wants to leave their home world and travel across the emptiness of outer space to visit a pair of subterranean Jupitarians. In fact, ye 2 are the only ones I've known to do it. And I've lived a long time." "We came to ask about the Book of Bongerlan," said Nancy. "We need to know where it is. We're trying to find our colleagues and return to Earth. A wizard named Bork Zungermeyer promised to help us if we got hold of the book." The old man cackled a quick harump, coughed, and said, "The Book of Bongerlan, eh? There's only 1 copy in existence. It was given to the wizard Omperdon to keep safe, but I heard he didn't do a great job." "Who was telling you that, Tandolian?" asked the old woman suspiciously. "I heard it on the wind." "Are you sure you didn't hear it from your mistress, the witch of Mullinavore?" "I keep telling you, there's nothing going on between myself and the witch of Mullinavore. I don't know where you got that idea from. All I know about that witch is that you reckon the 2 of us had a fling." "Really? Oh yeah? Then how come you know about Omperdon? He was another idiot that shacked up with that old slapper of a witch." "How would you give it a rest, love? I told you, I heard it on the wind. Sure, when would I get a chance to be off chasing witches around the planet? I haven't left this house in Ongleton planetary rotations. And anyway, the wind got used from Omperdon from a stream in the Forest of Proverbs. Seemingly, Omperdon chucked the book into water because he reckoned he found something better than magic. Something called physics, that he heard from a pair of extraterrestrials. Actually, is that anything to do with ye 2? What are your names?" "Nancy McGinley and Bart McMurrow of the European Space Agency on Earth," replied Nancy. "Weird names. How can you get anything done? If it were me, I would have stuck with something like Fondalgio and Drumpnol, or at least done away with the European Space Agency part. Earth is enough to be from. Ah, well, each to their own. I suppose the inhabitants of European Space Agency on Earth might find the names here on Jupiter too short. Anyways, were you chatting to Omperdon?" "Yes." "How is he doing? I haven't heard from him in ages. How's this physics stuff working out for him?" "Not great," replied Bart. "He's dead," explained Nancy. "See, Tandolian," snapped the old woman. "That's what you get for shacking up with the witch of Mullinavore. Dead, huh? Good enough for the horny old goat. Let that be a lesson to you, Tandolian." "Will you give over about that poor woman?" said the old man. "The way you go on about that witch of Mullinavore, you'd think it was you that fancied her." "Oh, what makes you say that, Tandolian? I don't. I mean, she is a sharp dresser, and she has a great set of teeth. For a witch, I mean. But me and her? Nah, I don't think so. I mean, I can see the attraction, though. Like, I don't really blame the wizard, Omperdon. If I was a wizard, I'd probably hook up with her. And I don't really blame you for lusting after her either, Tandolian. But don't get any ideas." "Why don't you go and test out the haluba berries, love? See if they're any good. I need to chat to the 2 extraterrestrials about the Book of Bongerlan. I'll join you as soon as I'm finished." The old woman then snatched a small brown bag of berries from out of Nancy's hand and slumped into the unoccupied armchair. She shoved a fistful of the berries into her mouth and farted. "So what do you know about the Book of Bongerlan?" asked Tandolian. "I know nothing," said Bart. "Just that it is important, or at least that the wizard Bork Zungermeyer thinks it is. It contains words of great value to him," added Nancy. "Words of great value to every Jupitarian," noted Tandolian. "It explains the origins of life on Jupiter, how it took shape, how everything should be done, how everyone should behave, and how everyone should feel. And I'm guessing this is why Bork Zungermeyer wants to get hold of it, because it contains a description of how to keep ambitious people in check. It would greatly help him on his quest to rid the planet of Sosman and his buddies. Ugh, said the old woman. She then projectile vomited onto the table. Mind the books, love, said Tandulian. The books, which were strewn in piles across the floor, did not have the look of things that had ever been minded. Nancy unconsciously moved back from the pile she was standing in and onto another pile. Those halloubleberries must be good, noted Tandulian. He quickly stepped up from his armchair, grabbed the bag from the old woman's hands and sat back down, shoving a handful into his mouth as he did. Do you know where the Book of Bongerlan is now? Asked Nancy. I know roughly where it is, or at least where it was recently. The wind rarely gets down this far to tell me, just because we're so far in the lower levels. When it gets here, it's nearly a gust, so I can't be sure. But the book was last seen floating past one of the 9 Sosniak statues of Calaspa Brone, the one where Sosman is preparing to head for his holidays, I think. It sounded like the wind was jealous of the statue to me. But sure, why would the Sosniaks make a statue of the wind? Anyways, go to Calaspa Brone if you want to find the Book of Bongerlan. Just ask about the book. Maybe someone has seen it. I don't know where that place is, said Nancy. I think I do, said Bart. I ended up there after ye lot left me for dead. We never left you for dead, whispered Nancy. You stormed off in a huff. There was nothing we could have done. You would say that. I tell you, it was born for me after that. I hope you're happy, Nancy. Taludian, can you direct us to this place? Asked Nancy. I can recite the Book of Bongerlan, you know, said Taludian, ignoring the question. His eyes had grown glassy, and he was starting to slowly rock back and forth in his armchair. It starts with a title, the Book of Bongerlan. Then there's a blank page. No, wait, 2 blank pages. Then there's a picture of a cantabular glimp. Or maybe that's a grounded Everslontak. I always mix them up. Anyways, then the book begins. In the beginning there was Flontiu or Moveromp, and they begat Smiggleton, who begat Carontulis. Oh wait, the other way around. It's been a long time since I read the book. Anyway, Carontulis, or someone else, begat Closfracta. Then what happened? Asked Bart. Tandulian didn't reply. Instead he puked red and brown liquid onto the low table of mouldering food buckets. I think we should leave, Bart, said Nancy. Tandulian, we're going to leave now. Thanks for your help. What help? Asked Bart. We're not going to get any more sense out of him, said Nancy. Trust me, the halloubleberries are nasty. Where was I? Continued Tandulian. The Great Book of Bongerlan, that's it. Do you know something? There's a chapter of Donvolgens that might interest you. There were 8 strangers that arrived here from a far-off planet, and they were betrayed by their leader in a carnuntical flang at the springing of the 4th epoch. Or wait, hold on, was that the 3rd? Ye two should try some of my wife's cooking. This offer inspired Bart and Nancy to quickly retrace their steps out of the pale green door. Well, what did Tandulian say? Asked a voice from further along the underground street. Is that you, Bork? Yes, I'm always me. What did Tandulian say to ye? He said the Book of Bongerlan was last seen in a place called Calaspa Brone. He said the wind spotted it. Or at least the wind passed the message to him, said Nancy. Well then ye must go to Calaspa Brone. Come on the pair of ye. I know where there's a calump. You will have to escalate it without me. I don't want to be seen looking for the book. What's a calump? Asked Nancy. Sorry, I don't know what you call them in the European Space Agency. It's I don't know, a moderately effective device for transportation. It should work for ye. I'm not great with that sort of stuff. I usually just magic myself wherever I want to go. It's not far from here, though. You can describe it to yourselves when you see it. And that was it for the morning of the 9th day of the first human expedition to another planet. Tandulian Montgolfier, a calump, vomit. European Space Agency Mission Specialist Bart McMorrow, European Space Agency Mission Specialist Nancy Goodame McGinley, a wizard named Bork Zungermeyer, an underground army of sorts, a lost founding member of the Hobblegraniker Defence League, an elderly noob, an underground army of sorts, and the last remaining copy of the Book of Bongerlan, adrift on the Sea of Uncertainty on Jupiter. Well, fair play if you got this far into the episode. You have my respect if you did. I hope it's not too confusing. There'll be another episode in 2 weeks, and the story will continue all the way up to chapter 56.